edition of the hottest wrestling podcast on planet Earth. That's right, it's Oh No Wrestling. I'm one of your hosts. My name is Owen. I am the Sharp Break Kid. And along with me tonight are my two good friends. One all the way from Denver, Colorado. He is the modern day Maharaja. And introducing the new Oh No Wrestling Predictions champion, it's the King of Bong Style, Duncan. How you boys doing tonight?
Oh man, I'm doing great.
How was that introduction for you?
That was lovely.
Yeah.
That was lovely. I'd just like to remind everybody who hasn't seen Ready to Rumble that a diamond upside down is a pussy. Just so you know.
Yeah. We're all looking real good tonight.
I'm sitting here like Orange Cassidy trying to intimidate the new champion. That's what I'm doing. The new champion, the way he did when he came out on commentary 2 weeks ago at the first night of Fighter Fest. I just want you to know that I'm coming for you. Don't get.
Yeah, no, I
let you have this one, and it's only because my boy Orange Cassidy took the fall. But you know, I think they want to use him for the pop. They want to use him for a pop in front of fans. I think is what they're actually going to do. But I want to congratulate you on your win. But I want to let you know that I'm still coming for you.
And I feel personally, if I might respond to that now that you're out of the way, Matthew, this is my time to shine. Coming up with Fight for the Fallen. We've got two predictions, coming up. We've got something on Wednesday. We might have a short-lived champion. We might have just a few-day champion because then we're going to also have to predict Extreme Rules later on in the show.
Look, all this hostility coming at you guys, like there's just so much sodium going on this stream right now that I'm worried about both of you. And I think that it just didn't need to get that salty right away.
I've never actually heard that term. Somebody use so much sodium.
I like that.
I
just want you guys to know that I came to play and I play to win. So
I feel you.
Well, I'd just like to remind you that it's all about the game and how you play it.
Yeah.
And it's all about control and if you can take it.
This is true.
Yeah.
These are all things that are very true. Happy Hour Deuce in the chat room. He's quoting.
I can't see fuck all. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I can't either. I'm gonna have to take these off as well. But Happy Hour Deuce in the chat room. He is saying that the greatest movie ever. I think he's talking about Ready to Rumble. I don't know if I'm gonna go that far. I don't know if I'm gonna go.
It's a classic.
I watched it at the end of last year or something like that. It was like some weekend, like a long weekend or something like that. I just had nothing to do. It was late at night. And I was like, I have not watched that in a while. And I put it on and I watched it and it was pretty horrible.
Yeah, I don't think that's not one that holds up particularly well. It doesn't.
I loved it when I was younger. I will say that.
When we were all younger and when that came out, let's be real, there was I was drinking a lot. And it was one of those movies that we would just put on and get hammered and watch, and it was awesome. It was definitely I don't hate it by any means. So Ready to Rumble classic it's not one I would die on a hill for.
No, I don't think
entirely
I don't know if I'd go that far either, but
no. It was. I will say it was worth the rewatch when I did watch it. I mean, as much as it reminded me that I was like, I used to love this. It definitely didn't live up to what I had in my head, but it was still worth it as much as it is technically a bad movie.
Yeah, it is technically a bad movie. Yes,
The King.
Yeah.
What's the guy?
Yes, the King.
Jimmy
King, who's like also
I will rule you.
I don't know if that was some good casting or not, like because that dude,
Oliver Platt,
he's like in Patch Adams and shit. Like I can't
he was
really.
in the West Wing. He's a big boy and he can act.
Yeah, he's a big
guy.
So
I don't know.
Jimmy King, that's right, Jimmy
King.
Jimmy fucking
King.
King.
Yeah,
I'm just like picturing David Arquette getting all excited about him, like Jimmy King.
Jimmy, crown me.
What is the greatest wrestling related movie? because there's not.
I mean, is it
ton.
not Beyond the Mat?
I just
Does
watched
that
Beyond the
count?
Mat.
I know that's what you were saying.
Yeah.
Yeah, Beyond the Mat's great, but I think it's obviously it falls so much more in the documentary line of things.
Well, yeah, but
that-
like, so we have the old school wrestler with Vern Gagne and the rest of the AWA guys, which I know the confused look on your face. You have
Never
no
seen
idea
it.
what I'm fucking talking about.
Never seen it.
Yeah, it's an old ass movie about a wrestler.
The Wrestler, as pointed out in the chat room, that might be the best of the bunch.
The one with Mickey Rooney or
Mickey Rourke, right? Mickey Rourke.
Mickey Rourke, yeah. Mickey Rooney dead a long time ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I didn't get the boner for that movie that I think a lot of people did. I was
If
like,
I remember,
okay.
I really liked it, but it's
Like-
I haven't watched it in a long time.
I watched it once. I don't ever need to watch it again. Like, it was like,
That's one I wouldn't mind revisiting.
I mean, I certainly could, but it doesn't grab me. And it was never one of those ones where I was just like, yeah. Now, I'll tell you what does grab me is, it was only a 1 hour pilot that they made for what was going to be a buddy cop show starring Rowdy Piper and Jesse the Body Ventura called Body Slam. Because I know I've talked about this before, and that's a hill I am willing to die on. Is that Body Slam is the greatest?
Seen it.
No,
It's the greatest hour
Never
of
seen
bad. Oh,
yeah,
it's on YouTube.
I'm gonna
You
have
can
to check
watch
that
it.
out. No Holds Barred's got to be up there.
Oh, No Holds Barred.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
That's
No
got
Holds
to.
Barred is
that's-
really,
That's where they got Zeus from, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
Like because they brought Zeus in to sort of tie him in with it was such a dumb crossover that they did. It's like, it's fucking Tiny Lister. Like, why are you going to try and have him be a wrestler? He's just a big actor with a lazy eye. But all right, question.
Can't forget Fighting with My Family.
Yeah.
Let's
Nacho
hold on. Before we get there, who has the better / worse lazy eye right now? Shawn Michaels
Shawn Michaels or Zeus?
or Zeus?
Shawn Michaels is pretty hard.
Yeah. Shawn Michaels is looking at his career from long ago. Then again, Zeus he's probably looking at Friday, you know? So what was he, D-Lo? Debo. Yeah. That's some good shit right there.
What you got on my 40, homie?
Moving on, because we could probably talk about wrestling movies all evening.
I know we could.
I
and
probably-
Knucklehead.
Uh-huh. We should probably talk a little bit about Fyter Fest and how, and of course the latest NXT. What was it called? The Great American Bash, right?
Yep. Great American Part 2.
Yeah, Part 2. So,
First of all, congratulations to Keith
Yeah.
Lee. Because
I totally called that one. You know, like it definitely didn't have any spoilers or anything.
Yeah.
there were no spoilers or anything at all. But it's funny, man. Like within 2 years,
Mhm.
like 2 years ago, almost to the day, right? Just a couple months, 2 years and a couple months later, like we saw him win the PWG Heavyweight Championship at the PWG show we went to in LA. And now 2 years later, feels like it's been hardly any time at all, and he won, and he's a dual NXT champion. So I think like they really have a lot of faith in him, and that's awesome.
I feel like they should.
Yeah, absolutely, they
While we're
should.
on the topic, we might as well start there. What's next for him? How do they keep both belts on him for a while? Do they maybe have him relinquish one of the titles over the other? If so, which title? And who and how's this all gonna work? Because it's certainly interesting to me, because there's no one in my head right now, other than one guy that fits the bill for either one of those championships. And I'll let you guys start just to see what you guys think of what's next for Keith Lee, I suppose. Either one?
I think. Well, okay, like how are you going to go about it when now he's at the top of the heap? So I think I don't know what I get the appeal of having him hold both titles.
Mm-hmm.
But in my mind, every time somebody holds both titles like that, like, okay, here's a better question. Has anybody held a heavyweight title and either the IC or US at the same time?
Not that I recall, but I was going to point out that they've been pulling a lot of two belts in WWE programming lately. Ever since Becky 2 belts, they've been doing like the Bayley and then the tags, and you know what I'm saying? It's just it seems like they're doing a bit more of that.
I think so, but
didn't someone hold the European and the WWF Championship back in the day?
Maybe
felt like Trips might have.
Warrior held the Intercontinental and the heavyweight title because he won the heavyweight from Hogan at WrestleMania 6.
Oh wow, I forgot about that. You're absolutely
right.
But
they had him, but he relinquished the IC title, and then they did a tournament for it.
Yeah, and it seems like that might be the better idea, just because it sort of then cheapens the North American title to a degree if you just keep it on Keith. And you know, at this point, does he really need it? He's got the top title. We can all recognize that as the top title. This is a mid-card title with the North American, so you know he doesn't really need it. And it at that point, you know, what are they fighting for? Like, what's?
But does he relinquish it because it could do him a disservice as the champion if he drops that belt to somebody else and they're like, well, I went ahead and beat your champion, and it's not like it's a.
Yeah, I don't think
both belts are it's a 2 brand. This is the highest belt you can get on both, on both brands, like it was for Becky Lynch.
Mm-hmm.
You know, this is something where it has
you have
to be
a mid
handled,
and a high.
Yeah, it has to be handled a little differently. And even if you say it's just for this title going into the match, that's where you don't want to discredit the strength and momentum you've built behind him and the powerhouse that Keith Lee is.
Yeah, because you have him
be done well.
Yeah, because if you have him lose the North American Championship, and then it's
then
just
he
like,
looks weak, right? Then he looks weak against somebody that could possibly beat him for the NXT Championship.
Then the immediate logic becomes, well, I just beat you for this title. If that title would have been on the line, I would have beat you for that title.
Right. Yeah, you're absolutely right.
I think that in order to, I think the strongest move is for him to relinquish the North American title. He doesn't lose it.
Yeah.
But he says, okay, this is now for this, let's establish who the next guy is.
I like that idea. And I think that, you know, my thought process was to possibly put Finn Balor in somewhere in there. Whether I don't really mind which title, but then again, isn't Finn there, I guess, to help build new stars, and kind of isn't what that North American title should be. If anything, Finn should be going for the NXT title and lose to Keith Lee just to prove Keith Lee's dominance. That was my mindset.
I could see that. I could see that. I think that would be good booking, and maybe he puts up such a good fight that he then relinquishes the North American title to him or something like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. It actually kind of sounds shitty when I say it out loud. Not like you would lose and then still get a title, but I don't know. It's fucking WWE.
It's true.
Well, they've done more ridiculous shit. I think
they did a karaoke contest.
Yeah.
On fucking SmackDown, which I didn't watch until right before this podcast. I'd read everything about it, but I was like, I got to get eyes on that shit. And
I can't do it. I can't bring myself
eyes on that shit. I didn't need to get eyes on.
No,
you did not.
No,
I haven't put eyes on that, and I'm not gonna.
No, the only thing I think from Raw that I put any real eyes on was the return of Shayna Baszler and Bianca Belair, but we'll get to that in just a minute. So with NXT moving forward, what are the other credible threats for either of Keith Lee's titles?
It really depends on how they want to go about it, because you don't want to. Honestly, he needs to relinquish it, and there needs to be a tournament of really banger matches between all of these other competitors, right? Like Gargano and Swerve and like who've already had matches, but then you can throw Damian Priest in there with somebody and have a good match. Like, you know,
what if he finally gets cleared and doesn't injure himself within the first fucking 2 minutes of coming back, but goes down and Samoa Joe?
That would be kind of cool.
That would be great.
That'd be a badass.
Yeah.
And see, that's the
like
kind of
pound
thing,
for pound type of match.
Yeah, and that's the kind of thing I think you're gonna need to, like, you should have a feud with Finn and Keith Lee, and Keith Lee should retain his title over Finn.
I agree.
And then maybe you have, like, I don't know, have another Dominic Dijakovic.
Yeah.
Because those guys put on a good matches together, surprisingly, right? Like, everybody assumed that was going to be shit, but Dijakovic is a fucking beast, man. Like,
what's the dude with the mustache?
Dexter Lumis, and like the whole black arm tattoo. Yeah. Dexter Lumis.
They seem pretty hot on him, so I could see him being thrown into more of that mid-card, like, you know, North American title picture.
Yeah, and that's why I think that you run a better service to the brand as a whole if you do a tournament for the North American title and then have Keith Lee have these good promos good programs with these other talent, so that you can, like, I don't know, you build some credibility to the belt, you expose your underutilized talent on your main platform so that they can, you know, have a chance to shine, much in the way that the Cruiserweight Classic did. Yeah, I don't know. I could see it go a lot of really beneficial ways almost.
I also like the idea of someone credible, maybe like another Samoa Joe, but someone from the main roster maybe coming down to challenge Keith for the NXT title in particular. Like, leave the NXT guys to fight for the North American in a tournament style setting, and then possibly have someone from the main roster, again, a former NXT guy, former NXT champion, come down and fight for that belt. Even a Shinsuke would work for me.
They gotta do something with him. I don't think he would beat him, but they could do something. I mean, you could also do
Ciampa.
I mean, Ciampa, that's an obvious one.
Yeah.
Karrion Kross.
And that's where it looks like it's going, right? For the NXT title, it seems like they're probably going to do that first. But
I mean, and I think they should do that at some point, but it's like, do you do that first?
Yeah,
much like the
you really want to
Brian Cage.
Yeah, exactly. Are we going to instantly take away Keith Lee's run all of a sudden, because you don't want, you know, Cross coming in here and losing his first big title match, you know, as being such a hype new guy.
Happen. Yeah, and historically NXT has had people hold the belt for a long time.
Yeah, they have. They
don't like playing hot potato with it.
Is Adam Cole the longest reigning?
I think so. Yeah.
I think you're right there. I think he is. And
we looked it up on a couple of podcasts. It was like 436 days or something like that.
It's a hell of a long time, and it was
a really long time.
Hell of a good match too. That being said, why don't we move into, you know, what's gonna happen with the Undisputed Era? I mean, is it set in stone in you guys' minds that they will get called up?
Yes, but the real question then is now when.
Right.
are
Because
they going to wait?
Yes. Are they going to wait to have fans there?
Yeah. Or do it at SummerSlam, maybe?
maybe, but you have to have some sort of an audience to react to that moment for it not to fall flat, because Michael Cole and Corey Graves overhyping it on commentary is only going to hurt it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
it needs to have kind of a Nexus feel. It needs to have almost an invasion-ish feel with the Undisputed Era, I think.
Yeah,
that's the way
it does. They really just need to go in there and like act the way that Bullet Club acts in Japan.
Yep. Yeah. No, that's a good point. It's a good point.
Also, been a big week for Bullet Club. Too,
yeah.
For anybody who's been still paying attention to that shit. Jesus.
Absolutely. And again, that's something we'll talk about in just a second. I think it certainly warrants conversation. I don't think I'm the only one here that is nervous as hell for Undisputed Era on the main roster. Just because
what do you do with them?
Right. It's scary. I'm not as nervous for Adam Cole individually as I am for the rest of the guys. And I just feel like they'll get lost in the shuffle, whereas Adam Cole, I think, can survive that, the poor booking that's happened with a lot of the NXT guys coming up to the main roster. The other guys, I'm not as confident that they'll give them that much support.
I want to agree with you. However, I think you do it right and make it simple enough and have them like, dude, it's easy. The blueprint is already there. It's Evolution. Like, have them be like, it's essentially you have them do the Evolution 2.0 thing, like tag belts, mid-card belt, heavyweight belt. You know what I mean? Like, and they used, and here, this probably ties in later, but if Bray Wyatt loses, or like, obviously because it's not the Fiend in this match, right? It's Bray Wyatt at Elimination Chamber at Extreme Rules. He loses to Braun.
Elimination Chamber at Extreme Rules.
Yeah, whatever the hell it is. The horror show at Extreme Rules, because that's such a better title. That's such a better title, actually.
The horror makeup show.
Yeah.
So if you have Braun win, and then the next night on Raw, Undisputed Era comes in, and if you have Adam Cole be the threat, and then Undisputed Era as a unit attack Braun, that's how you get the title off of Braun while still retaining his credibility, but also boosting Undisputed Era. Or you have Adam Cole come in without Undisputed Era, build to a match with Braun, and then the rest of UE shows up.
Mm-hmm.
I
don't mind that.
I don't disagree with you on that, but I also don't disagree though. They've just fucked up so many.
We all know that
pushes with everyone from NXT, like absolutely everybody. That I just like. It is so simple, and the booking has already booked itself, like you're saying, Duncan, which I 100% agree. I just don't think they'll let it happen. Especially
I'm not
when
saying that's what they will do.
When there aren't there when fans aren't there to help push the narrative.
The problem is the fans that are trying to push the narrative and like helping to sort of like guide what they like and don't like online are all annoying twats.
Yeah. And Vince hates them and almost likes to do things in spite of them.
Because
the vocal ones are the annoying ones.
Yeah, and I don't think Vince cares what happens online. He cares what happens in an arena.
In his pocket.
Yeah, but that's the only way that you're gauging what fan reaction is. If you're not paying attention to what's actually going on online, because you know that right now.
Well, hence the problem
But AEW is paying attention to what's going on online.
Yeah.
Like, they are paying attention to what their fans are saying. And for WWE to just consistently, like they do if it's normal circumstances, turn a blind eye and be like, shut up, you're going to take what we give you and like it. It's just like, yeah, okay, but we have other options now. And if you don't listen to what we're trying to tell you, some of us constructively, right? Like, some of us voice our opinions constructively, and we're not like out, hyper tweeting at wrestlers because your storyline sucks and all this kind of shit.
Right.
I actually have like 15 different accounts, and I'm always hyper tweeting.
Don't blow your.
He is Mr. Reddit squared circle. Like
Yeah.
we always think that Matthew's just like he's way too busy with his job and all this. Like
no,
it's
I'm
actually
way too busy heckling wrestlers on the internet.
We know.
It's true.
We know. It's true. I actually kind of was thinking the other day about what if Undisputed Era and hear me out here, because they've been toying with this a little bit. And they're even toying with it, you know, with Sasha Bailey and with Shayna right now. Shayna made an announcement when she came back. By the way, great promo on Raw. Really, like,
I didn't see it.
Nice to see her back. It's been way too long, and we can get more into her in a sec. But she kind of said that she's coming after every champion on every brand. I'd kind of like Undisputed Era to be like a mixture of all three brands, so that they can maybe even get back the NXT tag titles, or get back one of the North American, or something like that, and then have them be a force to be reckoned with on all three platforms.
See, I think this is kind of where WWE is going. They've been toying with, for a while, like the main roster coming to NXT and vice versa. Obviously, they were pushed to do it with Saudi Arabia and such, to have that kind of like SmackDown takeover. It was received really, really well by the fans and everyone.
Best SmackDown since they've gone to Fox.
Yeah, until they did a karaoke battle.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think like now they've been kind of toying with it. I mean, Charlotte had been doing it. Obviously, she's out for a little while now because of her boobs. And then, look, I don't know. They like Finn
the fact that she even has to address that bullshit is just ridiculous.
Yeah, that was in my notes, by the way, of something to talk about. Like, but in fairness, let's be real here. We've all seen like them get smaller and bigger and bigger and smaller, and like it's.
But does it fucking matter?
Yeah, it matters, Duncan. These are the important issues within the wrestling community.
God damn it! I hate
the women's evolution has fought for this.
The women's evolution has fought for Charlotte's.
Absolutely. Sorry, I interrupted you, Matthew.
But I think that they've been toying with it, so I think they're kind of getting to a point. It seems like, and I don't know if like Trips has something to do with this, and I think we all probably read the articles that came out, you know, this past week, where we all kind of knew Triple H is going to be the one to take over, you know, and has been groomed for that. But it's kind of like more or less now been kind of like set out to everyone, you know, that
I actually haven't heard any of those.
Oh, really?
No, actually missed that. Sorry.
Oh, I read like 3 articles about it, and it came from like Jim Ross mentioning it in an interview in like, I feel like 2018, I think is when it was, saying that he was being kind of, he is the apparent heir, you know, to this, and has been being groomed for it. He's been a lifer since day one, doesn't drink, doesn't do anything, you know, he's always there, obviously. And that you would think Stephanie, but Stephanie is kind of more of like a face of the company, and, you know, relations.
The brand ambassador, if you will.
Yeah, and she does a good job at that, but like they are the power couple to do it, and he's been kind of set up. And so then there was and I forget who said, but there was a comment off of that, and that's where these articles came from, that was kind of like, yeah, he's the one. Like, and Vince isn't going anywhere anytime soon, because obviously dude works out like a madman. I mean, unless he has like fucking,
he's always in the gym at the PC right now.
Yeah,
he's legitimately always in the gym at the PC when they're filming. And
so so I guess, I don't know. So regardless, I wonder if that influence is kind of helping this crossover, but I think they're kind of open. Don't get me wrong, I don't think NXT is going to be a main brand, but I think they're getting more comfortable working everybody on all brands and circuits, and this is kind of more of the start of that.
Yeah, and I think they've kind of gone back and forth. We've heard reports too about like the brand split ending again, and like, you know, and then they remember a couple, a year or so ago, they had the wild card rule and all that type of shit. So they
just
kind
sort
of
abandoned.
They kind of want to have
they want to be able to do whatever they want.
Do whatever they want and have a mixture of everything, like not end the brand split, but also have people bounce back and forth. I think this might be a nice way to do it. I think they might even be able to have some form of like weird. You could maybe even do a tournament for the rights to compete on any brand at any time, or some way of like then designating a particular superstar type wrestler that is, you know, allowed to do it, for instance, and that they can, you know, go between each different brand. It's difficult and messy. I understand.
I was going to say, the thing that you got to also realize is that a big part of it comes down to the dramatic difference between the way talent is treated on the main roster versus the way they're treated at NXT. Like, they're still treated well at NXT, but once the main roster is in the house, everything is amped up so much
they're
more.
Plebes, I'm sure, in comparison.
It is a different world.
Where
you know what I mean?
Where do they stand on the pay stuff with the NXT versus the main roster guys? Is there still a huge discrepancy between those? Because they were talking about getting rid of that when they went to USA with NXT, but is that still a huge problem?
I don't know. I mean, I know that everybody that works for WWE is taken care of well enough.
Right.
Like, I know that they're making they're making enough that even though they have to provide their own health insurance, they can still afford to provide their own health insurance, and they're not starving.
They're in six figures, and good six figures is
no. Some of them maybe.
Some of them. I wouldn't say all.
No. Like some of the bigger name talent is in six figures. Yeah.
Are we talking across the board here, or just NXT?
NXT.
Okay.
NXT. But like your lower level is definitely not, and like your trainees are definitely not.
Probably in like the $60,000, $70,000, $80,000 range, something like that.
Sure.
On NXT.
And then like the more you're like, you get bumps for everything that you do, right? So, but
you headline a pay-per-view, you get more.
As of the end of last year, it was being reported that NXT talent typically earns between $50,000 and $150,000 annually, with an average salary of roughly $80,000.
Okay.
So it says the number pales. This is on Forbes. So the number pales in comparison to the reported WWE main roster average of $500,000, and that was in 2015. Saying that number may be higher now due to the Blockbuster TV rights deals on Raw.
Right. The only reason I kind of bring that up is I remember it being said that Finn Balor, when he went back to NXT, was gonna had made a deal to do NXT, but still keep his main roster money.
That was actually the next paragraph in this that says, probably doesn't help matters that Finn Balor, who was recently sent from SmackDown to NXT, is still under a main roster deal and will continue to receive that main roster pay.
So that throws the average off
4 times that of your typical NXT star.
Right.
And now with the advantage of Balor working a much more favorable schedule.
Right.
So
he got the deal. He did,
but not everybody gets the deal.
Yeah.
So it is a big difference. I mean, and that's also the thing, right? Like, I remember reading an interview with Cody Rhodes where somebody was trashing his Stardust figures. Like, somebody found like Stardust figures at Walmart, and he's like, Cody Rhodes, can you believe this? Like, tagged him on Twitter. He goes, bought me my house in Aspen.
Yeah, why would and even still, like, even though Cody Rhodes right now, I wonder how that works. Like, if I find a Stardust figure somewhere right now and I buy it, does Cody Rhodes still get money for that? Yeah,
I would assume so.
Likeness
I would
rights
assume
and
he gets a
right?
small percentage.
Yeah,
I would assume unless it was just like an outright deal. But I think that for the most part, like, your royalties are based on sales. So the more you sell, the more you make.
I would think there's a sunset clause somewhere in the contract. That's
I would also assume.
They review it at a certain time after a certain number of years and say, okay, like, now you're cut out, you haven't done anything to help, or now you're getting a lesser percentage, or it just over the years, maybe the contract says starting here, and then after 5 years, you get to this percent, 7 years, you get to this, 8, 9, 10, and then you're done.
Exactly.
Sure. Well, let's move on a little bit towards.
You don't want to talk about business and contracts and perpetuity and anything like that, because I mean, that was.
You said a lot of words right there, and I didn't understand any of them, so I'm just gonna move on to the graps.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
No, I want to talk a little bit about Fyter Fest. I thought it was a really good show. Nothing that was extremely like earth-shattering by any means, but all the matches were good. Like every single match was good in my opinion. And there were a couple of bangers in there. The big one I did want to talk about, quite frankly, and it's getting a lot of praise. And Chris Jericho, he did hype it, quite extensively. Was his match with Orange Cassidy, and I'll be honest, I think that match might have changed Orange Cassidy's career more than we even know at the moment, because I think that was the first glimpse for a lot of people as to how actually good he is as a standard wrestler. Orange, would you care to respond? He just gave me the thumbs up.
I'm just kidding. I think they they gave them almost 20 minutes, which I think was awesome.
Yeah.
I think you got to see, you got the gimmicky stuff there, and then you really got to see him unleash, which is like what we wanted to see, and kind of what we were saying is that Orange Cassidy's going to have this kind of time to shine, whether he wins or not, and this is going to be the time where he is put in front of the fans to it. I read an article, I forget who it was through, but it was like Orange Cassidy is the Wednesday Night Wars was the name of the article.
Yeah.
And basically they were saying like you have something like WWE or NXT rather by WWE, who is like kind of doing things in the way that they have, they are doing the counter programming, which you would assume, and they've said, but you want that because we've talked about it, competition is better,
right?
It strives for everyone to be better, but you have this guy who comes in, has this gimmick, and the whole gimmick is like he's too cool for it, doesn't care, like
just so apathetic. He's just like whatever.
Yeah, but then when it matters, can actually like wrestle his ass off. And like that is something that can draw in a lot of people, like people who maybe have not been wrestling fans for a long time or who have always questioned it. It's like this guy is like making fun of wrestling as part of his gimmick, but then wrestles his ass off.
Absolutely.
With the GOAT, like one of the best wrestlers performing today, Chris Jericho, and you get them in there, and not only did we see a lot of his quick moves and like high flying stuff, that like everything, like we also saw a lot of like kind of like grappling and mat work and things like that. And I thought that all of that was really awesome. They actually took the time, told the story. I'm glad they gave them, a good amount of time to do it. I thought it was almost the perfect amount of time, in all honesty. And I'm okay with the way it ended. And you know what? I actually agree with, Duncan's booking of it, and that, he didn't need to win right now.
Yeah.
I was saying before, my stance was he did need to win. I now see that was kind of a wrong way of looking at it. I do think they want to have the same way that, WWE has wanted to do some things in front of audiences. I think that would be like such a huge pop in front of an audience. My concern is, I don't know, Florida, you're fucking up. But my concern
because it's my fault. It's our fault.
Yeah,
I was gonna say I live here too.
Sorry, I do forget from time to time, my friend.
But my concern is that it might take too long until crowds are actually able to be involved in this now. So they're going to have to pull triggers on things like this sooner rather than later, and you're not going to get the pops that you want. From people like us, you will, generally, but I think it means more. I mean, you look at McIntyre winning the title, he didn't get his moment at WrestleMania, these types of things. It's not overall like the biggest downer, but I think it's a downer for them as well as the fans. And I think, you want to have that. There's nothing anyone can do about it, but I don't want anything to go stale because any promotion, AEW, NXT, WWE, waits too long hoping they're going to be put in front of fans. So I think that's the fine line they're walking right now.
At a certain point, they got to bite the bullet and just kind of, deal with what they've got, and that's that.
But there's also certain superstars, right, who don't necessarily ever have to hold the championship to get over and stay over.
Cassidy is kind of one of those guys.
Cassidy is definitely one of those. Like he can be, as long as he has good matches and as long as people are still digging the gimmick, he can, like, he doesn't need that. However, if the gimmick starts to get stale, the pursuit of a title is a great way to reinvest and reinvigorate in it.
Well put. Yeah.
So like me thinking fantasy booking for that, like I think you can just have Orange Cassidy keep doing what he's doing. Jericho put him on such another level as far as wrestling credibility goes. You know,
this match also helped Jericho a lot too, because Jericho, let's be real, like he can't wrestle like he used to. He can still go, but it's not the same Jericho.
And he knows that.
But he doesn't need another championship in AEW now, probably ever. He's solidified as the first champion. He's good to go, really, like for as long as he wants to do it.
Jericho makes people now. Jericho is going to make the people that he wants to make. He wanted to make Orange Cassidy, and he did. Like, Orange Cassidy was hot for fucking smarks like us, but I think he definitely put a lot of additional eyes on it, because like the old school wrestling fans that watched Chris Jericho back in the late 90s, early 2000s are like, who's this kid that Jericho's wrestling?
Yeah, and why does he have his hands in his pockets?
Right. And then what is these fake kicks? And then, oh my God, he super kicked his face off.
Yeah, with his hands in his pocket.
Yes, exactly. Owen and I were talking about our inability to super kick through text the other day. So
I can't do it either.
No,
I have like zero radius in my hip flexors. Like absolutely nothing.
I remember when I was a kid, I used to be able to like fake super kick my brother, who was like obviously a lot taller than me, but I was little and I could still like get it up there, right? Like I could do the kind of backwards.
Also a theme in your 30s could still get it up there.
You're right. Hey-o. I tried. I was drunk the other night and tried super kicking my fence. I might have tore something in my leg. Like it's still not feeling right.
Did you get past your hips?
A little bit past, a little bit, but
not much.
He was like,
I don't think I could get much past.
He was like down to this rib, just like about as far as it got.
It would have hit Duncan maybe in the gut, just above the wiener,
just above my dick, just above the dick, and just been like, what the fuck? Like, thank God there's a lot of padding here right now.
The way Stone Cold kicked, what's his name, in the dick. What's that?
Oh my God,
back, Byron? Yeah, he kicked Byron.
Yeah, kicked Byron right in the dick.
That's a hell of a reference. Yeah. No. So the rest of the show, I mean, like I said, I think it was a real solid show. I
think it's as good as it can be with no. Once again,
the tag match was awesome.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I mean, and it was great to see Lucha Bros back.
It was.
Fucking loved seeing Lucha Bros back.
That's been
they
awesome.
Looked good, man. They looked fucking good.
How would they ever not really? Unless.
Well, I mean, if you take 3 months off and if they didn't train, you know what I mean?
How was that long? Wasn't it? Damn.
I mean,
it was a while, man. I mean,
yeah, they were.
They took the pandemic off.
Yeah.
And it was mostly because of Ray's injury, right? Ray Phoenix.
Yeah, he did have an injury. Yeah. That was right. That's right.
He got he got injured.
Yeah, they took
I want to say.
Were they both injured though?
No. Pentagon wasn't. They just didn't do a singles thing with him.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
They don't really need
I mean, you could, but
you don't need to.
Yeah.
You don't really need to. No. The one thing I will say is, man, like AEW said when they did their press conference announcing the existence of AEW that they wanted to put a fucking premium on tag team wrestling, and you cannot argue that they haven't.
No,
because their tag divisions are bangers.
Dude, that Spanish Fly off the top,
oh my God.
That was insane. And did
you
see
the
what
rest of the wrestlers?
Yeah,
he was like, maybe the craziest thing I've ever done.
Yeah, he tweeted after that, maybe the craziest thing I've ever done. I'm like, yeah, that's pretty fucking nuts.
And dude, he super kicked Candice LeRae in the face with a shoe that was full. The bottom of it was full of thumbtacks. Like, so they've done some crazy shit, dude. Yeah.
I thought it was a really good showing for Butcher and Blade too. I thought that looked great, and I don't think you can discredit what they're doing with the build to the Bucks and Revival. I think it's a nice way to kind of extend it out. I think that
the slow burn,
the slow burn is working really well. It's the right way to do it, especially after.
You don't want to run all the way into that first thing. Like, stop blowing your load on people's debuts.
Absolutely, and it's again probably one of those matches that needs to happen in front of a crowd, or would greatly benefit, just because it's. Like, we all know about this feud for so long,
right?
That at this point, to not be able to see it without a crowd, it would take away from it. And realistically, I think the Bucks should actually win on that and on that feud.
I mean, I think that's going to be a legacy feud.
Yeah, you're probably
I don't
right.
think that's not going to be a one and done.
It's
like,
never
that's going to be a
over.
Hart Foundation versus Demolition kind of feud.
That's probably what it should be.
And that's exactly what it should be. And I think the talent and the depth of the roster for the AEW tag division is enough that you can keep the Bucks and Revival away, or Bucks and FTR away from each other.
Oh yeah.
For long enough to get back in front of at least some sort of a crowd to get that live reaction. I think it's possible because there's a lot of talent.
100%. Any other final real thoughts on Fyter Fest that you wanna mention?
No.
I don't really have any.
I
So
had something while you were talking about that.
Well, if we you can
come back.
Always come back to it. While we're on the AEW train, I will say that a couple days ago they did a podcast with Bischoff and Tony Khan. Conrad did. I think it was on 83 Weeks.
83 Weeks. Interesting.
And I think they I don't know if they did two separate ones. I've only listened to the 83 Weeks. But they also did a AEW, I believe, unrestricted podcast with Bischoff on it. And that leads a lot of people. I think it was Kobe in our chat room who wanted us to ask, our Facebook group, facebook.com/groups/Oh No Wrestling, is a cheap plug right there. But yeah, he was curious what our thoughts were on Bischoff and the possible involvement with him in AEW. He was tending to think that, do you think that if they were to have a second show, that maybe Bischoff would be one of the major, contributors to its creative or what have you? And would we like it even if Bischoff was involved in the AEW product?
I think Bischoff still has good ideas. I think Bischoff can still provide. He didn't get enough of a shake when they brought him back to, what was it, for SmackDown or whatever?
He was a scapegoat, I think, wasn't he, for the ratings?
They pretty much
total scapegoat.
Yeah, they brought him back to fire him.
Yeah. And I think he knew it too.
This is why the ratings were shit.
Right.
So I think with that being the case, he can definitely, I don't know that the Bucks and Cody and Omega walk away from their sort of creative vision of it to let somebody else handle a second show, because it's not going to be a separate roster.
Yeah.
More than likely, it'll be the same. It'll be two shows of the same large roster. I can see you bringing in Bischoff to be a part of creative. Sure.
Or maybe
absolutely.
Could you see him maybe in a managerial role or any sort of kind of an I don't really want the authority figure thing in AEW. I don't want that.
What are you going to do? Have him be another version of Arn Anderson?
Yeah.
Or
yeah,
Tully Blanchard?
I think they would have him if they found the right use for him. I think that's my catalyst with it. It's like, That's not just throw Bischoff some money as if I'm at AEW. That's not throw him unless we have something worth.
I wouldn't even bring him in as being like an on-screen talent. That doesn't need to happen.
Yeah,
the only
I agree
thing
with
you
that.
do if you bring Bischoff in as on-screen talent is you point out yet another old WWE/WCW personality that is now taking up time on your air. Keep him backstage, let him write,
Kind of a consultant, kind of a
Dude, whatever. Like, have him be the Michael Hayes of AEW. Like, have him be sort of like that head agent or whatever.
That could work.
And have him work with, in the same way that Matt Hardy is working with Private Party, you have him work with other different people backstage to develop their characters and like work on their, accentuate the positives, hide the negatives. Like that's what Bischoff is good at. So if you let him do what he's good at, don't worry about putting him on TV. It'll work.
Yeah, I'd be open for that. And I still have a bit of a soft spot for Bischoff. Like I do. I think that he.
Yeah, I mean, I like Bischoff in the sense that I've listened to enough podcasts of him that I don't think he's a complete total dirtbag.
Right.
Bischoff is fine. And he's done some great things. He's done some great things. Like some of our favorite wrestling angles have been because of Bischoff.
100%.
So
would be no NWO and plenty others without it.
Yeah.
There would have been no monster trucks on the top of the Joe Louis Arena.
Yeah. Was that the Joe? I didn't realize that was the Joe.
There would have been no Yeti. Would have been no Yeti. So let's just be thankful.
That's very good, very well put.
That's true.
Do you have any thoughts on the Bischoff thing, Matthew?
I'm pretty much in line with Duncan. I mean, I feel like you don't put him on TV. If anything, you bring him in as backstage. I mean, in the smallest amount, he's some sort of creative consultant. In the largest amount, he's like kind of a creative director or something like that, and is allowed to like help work these storylines and build characters and things like that. I don't think anything benefits with him being on TV. I don't think it would benefit I don't even think it would boost ratings that much, except for maybe the first time, in all honesty, just because people would wonder and then realize that there was really nothing that he can do. And I think at this point you need AEW needs to be standing on their own more in regards to things like this. They have so many amazing people and amazing talent who've done so many amazing things historically in the wrestling industry. They don't always stand on them, but they have at certain points, and granted they have needed to, and it has helped them, and I understand that business model, but I think they're at a point that it would almost cheapen what they're doing if that's
it would just get yet another TNA/Impact correlation drawn to them.
It would,
because
it's a cheap pop at the end of the day.
Yeah,
it's not going to do anything for that audience.
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, it's not going to do anything for that audience.
Could you maybe bring him in like for one match, like to kind of just show the audience, hey, we've got Bischoff backstage. Maybe he does one match on commentary or something, or like.
I mean, you could put him on commentary, but I don't think you need to.
You don't.
I think that is a bad wrestling move.
Yeah.
I think the smart thing to do is if you're going to have Bischoff involved in the company at all, he's behind the scenes, and it doesn't really matter in the same way that like there is no authority figure, right? Like you're not gonna have Cody and the Bucks be like, you know what I mean? Like
in suits calling matches.
Even though they are sitting in Gorilla, like you don't need to have that be like people coming in attacking them for the way that you know what I mean? They don't need the authority figure.
We also know that they are already, so it's like it's just what it is.
Well, everybody, yeah, exactly. But you need to just have Bischoff, like, let him be creative, like let him do that.
So it's like South Park said, man. If you French fry when you're supposed to pizza, you're gonna have a bad time. So
Never,
like
never French fry when you should pizza.
Yeah, they should pizza when they're supposed to pizza and French fry when they're supposed to French fry. And like I think this would be an opportunity for them to be able to do that if done the right way. If not, we're all gonna have a bad time.
All gonna have a bad
time. I remembered what I was going to say.
Yeah, go ahead.
I just wanted to get your guys' opinion, and I think we're all on the same page here in regards to Taz's announcement, the belt with Brian Cage, and this, I think, in my mind, at least, being the way that he can lose to Moxley and still have a belt and still kind of have some notoriety and not lose this,
I was gonna get to that in predictions, but I actually share that same exact sentiment. I think this is how you kind of keep the belt on Moxley and keep Brian Cage important.
Yep, and also I, for one, loved that he brought that fucking belt back because that was my favorite belt.
It looks pretty cool. It looks pretty cool too.
It looks better than the AEW belt right now, for sure.
It's still the same.
Or TNT.
The
belt, TNT. Yeah. Like, yeah, that's still the same one that he had made back in the day.
Was it the same exact one?
No, it's Taz owns that. The only reason that they are allowed to use it is because Taz allowed it.
Right.
So,
wasn't there only like 2 ever champions of the FTW belt? It was Taz and I want to say there was somebody else. I feel like I read this somewhere in all my crap, the wrestling crap.
You are correct. There were only 2. I can't remember who the other one.
Matthew's our facts guy.
Matthew's on it.
Yeah, I'm looking it up.
But Taz literally created the belt for him. Like, he created it because he was tired of being disrespected in ECW, and like, so he was like, "This is the
world."
Yeah, well, he's like, I love the promo. Like, the promo he did was great. He's like, you can call this the real world belt. He's like, you can call this the fuck the world belt. Doesn't matter. Like, but yeah, that's the same belt that Cage had. I want to say it was Mikey Whipwreck. This is the other one.
That's exactly who it was. I'm almost 100.
Taz lost the title only once in a singles match to Sabu.
Oh. Sabu, that makes sense.
Okay, I thought it was Mikey.
Broke his neck.
This was an intentional loss when he pulled an unconscious Sabu over himself on December 19th, 1998. He was confident that he would defeat Shane Douglas in an upcoming title bout and thus no longer needed the FTW Heavyweight Championship. Taz regained the title at Living Dangerously on March 21st, 1999, where he unified the FTW Heavyweight Championship with the ECW World Heavyweight Championship, which he then held by defeating Sabu in a title versus title match. Taz then began using only the ECW World Heavyweight Championship belt, being the sole World Heavyweight Championship in the promotion.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yep.
What did you guys?
Yeah, Shane Douglas. You said Shane Douglas?
No, we said Mikey Whipwreck.
Yeah, I thought it was too.
Because he won. Because Mikey Whipwreck and Tommy Dreamer were like those perpetual underdogs in ECW. So I know that at one point Whipwreck did win something, and it was a big, huge deal. Like, maybe it was he won the tag titles with Cactus Jack. That's what it was.
Oh, sounds right too, man.
That's what it was.
I'm
Welcome
not as good
to
as this
obscure early 90s wrestling hardcore trivia. Jesus Christ. One of you out there appreciated that.
I'm sure someone did. I'm sure, and his name is probably Kyle Dews.
Probably.
What did you guys think? I'm sure you heard some of the news that the reason for face masks now being implemented behind the scenes at WWE events and in the crowd is Kevin Owens. Nobody else.
Yeah.
I can't say as I was surprised. But not only did he go to Vince and be like, yo, we got to fix this or something, we got to do something, but he apparently, he also was the guy to ask for the implementation of a fine, because he's like, I think the quote was something along the lines of, hey,
Matthew's gonna have it pulled up. Don't you worry.
But I actually have an article right here. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, go for it then.
I don't have the here. Let's see. There's a link to the original story. I don't technically have like the quote, but it's everything you were saying, Owen. I mean, it's basically, you know, that he expressed the concerns about like the social distancing and measures with the masks not being taken seriously. And apparently, like, then Vince asked him, like, what do you want me to do?
Yeah.
What's the deal? Like, what do you want? And so basically he said, you know, we need to do something. And it ended up being the agreement was to find superstars who didn't wear masks. And Owens ended up staying home for the tapings. And then basically anyone who doesn't abide by the mask rule would be fined $500 upon first offense and $1,000 for the second offense.
I think the other point that was made in the stuff that I read was that Kevin Owens said that he was fined at one point for swearing on TV, and obviously he got, you know, fined, and, you know,
right.
But he's like, guess what? I never ever did it again. This is how you do it. Like, it's like, it resonated with me. I didn't want to fucking spend my money, you know.
Well, exactly, because those fines are hefty. Like, those are like $10,000 to $20,000 fines, right? Like, those. So a $500 fine is not anything to sneeze at, you know.
No, and if you're,
by the way, I'm also still more in favor of a Samoa Joe Keith Lee match, but I would watch a KO Keith Lee match.
Oh, I'd be down with that. I mean, it's not a hell of a lot that KO is doing right now.
I know.
So that would actually work as well. Two big boys going at it.
Yeah.
I'd be all down with that. You seeing what's going on in the chat room here?
I literally just saw that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
Good old Goro 187. He says, "Why will you not discuss the real moments in wrestling, like the Shockmaster shocked the world? Sid Vicious demanded Sting show who his mystery teammate was. We even had a cardboard cutout of Ric Flair a once in a lifetime event. The Shockmaster was so powerful. He was literally so powerful. He smashed through a damn wall like the Juggernaut. Who on the roster could stop him?" I agree.
Wait,
I'm a
hold on.
Shockmaster guy.
Listen, you shock marksters.
Shockwake.
First of all, who on that roster or who on the current roster?
That's true.
Pretty much like, look, everybody knows Uncle Fred doesn't want to have to put that helmet on ever again.
Yeah.
Like,
do that leg
on.
drop again.
Leave Tugboat alone.
Yeah,
Like,
goddamn Typhoon.
The man. Yeah, and then he became Typhoon.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ, the natural disasters. Come on. Also, once again, obscure 90s wrestling trivia. Let's talk about that. I mean, we don't have to talk about that.
Let's not
Current
talk about
roster
the
can't
shark
talk-
either, though. Let's not
the
talk about the
current-
shark.
Hold The current roster can't talk their way through a promo without a script for the life of any of them. That I will mostly agree with.
Yeah.
But there's some of them that are great on the mic. Like,
And
you
then-
tell
and
me that
it's-
Kevin Owens isn't great on the mic? Because KO is fucking...
KO's fantastic on the microphone, and we found out obviously after Moxley had the chains unshackled from him that once he went to
Moxley can talk.
Moxley can talk. He can cut a great promo. Obviously, we got Jericho. There's plenty of guys
Hold
out
on,
there.
but we're talking WWE roster.
We're talking.
Stop going back to
all right.
AEW. Yeah. He's talking current roster.
Okay, if he's talking current roster, who
Kevin
do we
Owens
got?
owes his career to Jericho.
You're
a
not-
lot of people owe their career to Jericho at this point, the same way a lot of people owe their career to Ric Flair.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
that's sort of the way the business progresses.
And Sean, I think would be
absolutely.
on that
Sean,
list.
Brett, Austin, Rock.
On the current roster, my favorite promos.
But your favorite promos, but do you think they're
Currently.
scripted or unscripted?
Scripted or unscripted? Okay. Becky
makes it
had some good stuff that was unscripted when she was in her prime. I think that she was able to kind of like toe the line between these are the points you've got to hit and just make it feel real and what have you. I don't know that there's a ton of unscripted stuff that's even allowed right now. So that question does make it difficult. I know there's somebody I'm probably forgetting.
I would think Charlotte.
Yeah.
But then there's the question of how much of that is lead.
Exactly. I feel like,
but dude, like nobody's gonna go out there and like, I won't say nobody. Very few people are gonna go out there and cut the next Hard Times right now. You know what I mean? They're very restricted as to what they can say, and a lot of them are just like that's all they've known is the scripted model. Like you look at honestly, who's the best on the mic right now? Randy Orton.
You aren't wrong. You aren't wrong, and I think he kind of like toys that line too, like where it's sort of scripted, sort of not, but at least it feels real. At least it doesn't feel like it's so just piped in. And
right.
I mean, I tell you what, my favorite promo right now on the main roster, clearly Nia Jax. I mean, because she has got
Obviously.
it. She has got it. And I tell you what, that motherfucker is one of these days.
Stop it, because you're either going to go into anti-Samoan racism or you're going to go into fat shaming. Either one of which is not good.
I was just saying she's got the rap skills of Missy Elliott, and that's all.
No, you were going to say something else in regards to what about Missy Elliott. Oh, and you've made that joke before.
I know.
God damn it.
No, I feel like there's got to be someone that I'm forgetting though. Like when it comes to like some of these, like honestly, Ciampa's promos are pretty damn good.
Ciampa's promos are good. Ciampa's promos are good. Gargano when he hits it.
Bray when he hits it.
Yes, Bray when he hits it. Bray is a really good.
Even AJ when he gets it. Like AJ's not great all the time, but that AJ stuff with The Undertaker where he was calling out Michelle before WrestleMania and all of that.
That was better. Like, that
was
the best on the mic I think AJ's been in a while.
Well, probably since the main, since he came to WWE and he's always better as a heel. AJ as a face with his promos never really works for me. I don't know. That's a really good question. Maybe something that we can delve upon even more on a future episode as to who has the best unscripted promos or could cut the best unscripted promos within WWE. I think that is a very good question.
It's a very interesting because man, like you sit there and think about it and it's just like, wow. And then I wonder how many people are actually like, how many people are cutting their own promos?
How many of them want to either? Like, I
think a lot of them would want to.
Yeah, but there are probably some people that are perfectly fine with, hey, just tell me what to say and I'll say it.
Yeah.
It's moving on a little bit. I was gonna ask you.
Yes.
What's the point of Luther?
What's the deal?
What's the point?
Of Dr. Luther?
Luther, yeah. What is Luther
doing?
He's
one of Jericho's homies.
Is that all it is? He just gotta.
I think that's all it is.
Because
you just have to be really good friends with Jericho, man. That's really all it takes.
And then you get a job with AEW. Because I've seen an
in-ring contract.
They were making this big deal, like he was like super big in Japan and all this sort of stuff. I'm like, was he? Like, I don't know that he was.
Okay, look, hold on. I'll pull a Matthew.
Yeah, I can do it too. I can do it too if you want.
But. Well, I was going to say, I don't have my phone, so I just, hold on.
Speaking of Matthew, did he die?
Luther. I don't know, bro. Like, I'm not sure. Oh, there he is.
There he is.
And he's back. Dr. Luther.
Hey, we're talking about Dr. Luther right now, Matthew.
I'm gonna sign off for a second. Kyogi just had a really bad seizure.
Is he okay?
Yeah,
let me know.
Yeah, I'm gonna take care of him.
Take care of him. And,
okay.
And right. You know what? Actually, this since that's happening, why don't you guys? We'll take a break and we'll come back in just a few minutes. All right.
All right.
Thank you,
Matthew. If you need me, call me.
Yeah.
Yep.
Sorry, a dog has had a very unfortunate event, so we're gonna go off air for just a minute, guys. We will be back. And we love you. And just chill out. I'll leave the feed up, and we'll see you in just a few.